But ultimately, the other part of our purpose today is to live for Christ himself. Verse 15 again. Look with me. We're almost done here. All things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might, through the thanksgiving of many, redound to the glory of God. That's what Paul wanted in everything that he did, is for God to be glorified. You know, in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, and we're not going to go back there, but in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, Paul is speaking about the liberties that you and I have as Christians. And specifically in that particular passage, he's addressing the issue of eating meat that's offered to idols, whether they could or whether they could not. And basically he says this: you might have the freedom to do certain things. Certainly you have the freedom to eat these particular selections of meat, because there is no real other God that these things are really actually worshiping. And so, yes, you have the right to, and on some occasions you might even partake in that. But here's what he basically tells the Corinthians. He says, the decision whether or not to eat of the meat or to abstain simply boils down to this. Here's what he wrote to them in 1 Corinthians 10:31. He says, whether you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, here's what you ought to think in your mind. Is it going to glorify God? Give none offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the church of God, even as I please all men in all things, not seeking mine own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved. That's what motivated Paul. That's what helped him persevere. This is why he continued to do what God had called him to do, regardless of the difficulties that he faced. He had this eternal perspective rather than a temporal one. He knew what his calling was in the present day.